A man with 10 tumors in his liver walks onto a stage. He has just months to live. Now, by all conventional logic, he should be delivering a somber, reflective, maybe even sorrowful farewell to his colleagues and his students. But instead, he bounds onto the stage, flashes this giant smile, and proceeds to deliver one of the most energetic, funny, and optimistic guides to living life to the absolute fullest that has ever been recorded. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're breaking down Randy Pausch's famous last lecture. And we're not just looking at it as a touching story, but as a practical, step-by-step masterclass on how you can overcome obstacles, manage your time, and actually achieve your biggest goals.
Right off the bat, we are hit with this massive contradiction. Here's a man facing the ultimate dead end, yet he's entirely focused on the journey. As he put it so perfectly, we cannot change the cards we are dealt, just how we play the hand. You see, Randy Pausch, who was a computer science professor at Carnegie Mellon, wasn't interested in talking about his pancreatic cancer. He didn't want to talk about dying. He wanted to talk about living, and specifically about the sheer power of playing your hand with absolutely everything you've got.
So it's actually a tradition on a lot of college campuses to ask professors to give a theoretical last lecture. They're basically asked to mull over this really heavy question: what wisdom would you impart to the world if you knew it was your last chance? If you had to vanish tomorrow, what would be your legacy? But for Randy, this wasn't just some fun academic exercise. It was reality. And that immediately raises the stakes for us, right? Think about it for a second. If time suddenly became your most finite, precious resource, what exactly would you want to leave behind? To get the audience on his wavelength, Randy immediately addressed what he called the elephant in the room. He literally throws up these giant CT scans of his liver on the screen, complete with helpful red arrows pointing out all the tumors. But then, he immediately contrasts that grim medical reality with his incredible physical vitality. To prove he wasn't up there to be pitied, he drops right to the floor and starts doing push-ups in front of a packed auditorium of 400 people. He was an injured lion for sure, but he still wanted to roar. So what did he actually talk about? Well, he titled his lecture, Really Achieving Your Childhood Dreams. He realized that what made him unique wasn't his cancer. It was the fact that he had actually achieved almost all of his highly specific, somewhat quirky childhood goals. We're talking about a roadmap that included floating in zero gravity, playing in the NFL, and becoming a Disney Imagineer. He didn't just want to be an astronaut, by the way. He specifically just wanted to experience the floating. His secret wasn't some complex philosophical system. It was just a relentless pursuit of these audacious childhood milestones.
So where does that kind of audacity even come from? Well, it starts with giving yourself permission to dream big and having people around you who actually foster that creativity. When Randy was in high school, he asked his parents if he could paint his bedroom walls. And instead of freaking out about the resale value of the house, you know what they did? They let him do it. He painted the quadratic equation, a fake elevator, a submarine periscope, and a rocket ship. His parents allowed him to literally paint his imagination right onto his physical surroundings. If you're a parent, Randy's advice is incredibly clear. Let them paint the walls.
Let's look at one of those specific dreams to see how this builds in the real world. Floating in zero gravity. When Randy was a professor, his students won a competition to fly on NASA's Weightless Wonder. That's the plane they use to simulate zero gravity. But there was a catch. NASA explicitly banned faculty advisors from flying. Most people would just accept defeat, right? Not Randy. He dug into the literature and found a loophole. NASA allowed local hometown journalists on the flight for publicity. So, he resigned as the faculty advisor, applied as a journalist, and got his zero-G flight. He bypassed the rules not by breaking them, but by reading them better than anyone else. The big lesson here: when a door is closed, read the fine print to find the open window.
And this brings us to one of the absolute core concepts of Randy's entire philosophy: brick walls. Throughout our lives, we all run into obstacles, but Randy completely reframes how we should view them. The brick walls are not there to keep us out. The brick walls are there to give us a chance to show how badly we want something. Because those brick walls, they're really just there to stop the other people, the people who don't want it badly enough. Now, another unfulfilled dream of his was making it to the NFL. He didn't make it, obviously, but he learned way more from not achieving that dream than from many of the ones he actually did. And that brings us to his childhood football coach, Jim Graham. On the very first day of practice, Coach Graham showed up with absolutely no footballs. Why? Because there are 22 players on the field, and only one has the ball. Coach Graham wanted to focus on what the other 21 guys were doing. Fundamentals. You've got to get the fundamentals down, because otherwise the fancy stuff just isn't going to work. Coach Graham also rode Randy hard, constantly criticizing his form.
Later on, an assistant coach pulled Randy aside and said, "When you're screwing up and nobody says anything to you anymore, that means they've given up on you." Which leads us perfectly into what is arguably the most crucial framework in this entire explainer, the head fake. In this context, a head fake isn't just a sports move where you look one way and go another. In life, it's indirect learning. Think about it. We don't send our kids to play youth football because we genuinely care if they learn the rules of the game. We send them so they learn teamwork, perseverance, sportsmanship, and the value of hard work. They're learning something absolutely vital without even realizing they're learning it until well into the process. Okay, moving into Act 2, enabling the dreams of others. As we transition into the second half of Randy's life in this explainer, the narrative takes a major pivot. Achieving your own dreams is a massive thrill, for sure. But as you grow older and mature, you realize that something else is actually far more rewarding, enabling the dreams of others. So how did he do this on a massive scale? He did it through a software program he helped pioneer called Alice. Alice allows kids to learn incredibly complex computer programming by creating 3D animations, movies, and video games. It is the ultimate educational head fake. Millions of kids think they're just having a blast directing stories with these fun 3D characters, but under the hood, they are actually learning rigorous, object-oriented computer programming. He enabled their future dreams by masking incredibly hard work as pure, unadulterated fun. Now, to enable all these dreams, you need time. And Randy was an absolute efficiency freak. Time is the only commodity we actually possess, and he believed it had to be explicitly managed, exactly like you'd manage your money. His practical rules are simple but totally ruthless. Break your to-do lists into tiny, actionable steps. File things alphabetically so you don't waste precious brain power trying to remember folder colors. And constantly ask yourself, are you spending your time on the right things? He points out that protesting a construction site's noise to protect your unborn baby makes absolutely zero sense if you're smoking a cigarette while doing it. Treat the disease, not the symptom. Seriously, try applying just one of these today, like breaking down tomorrow's biggest task tonight, and watch your efficiency completely soar. He also had some pretty strong opinions on character, drawing a stark contrast between being earnest versus being hip. Randy argues that you should choose to be earnest every single time. Hip is a short-term phenomenon. It's all about impressing people with the surface layer. It relies on passing trends and parodies. Earnestness, on the other hand, comes right from the core. It is long-term. Being genuine, hardworking, and deeply invested in what you do might not look as cool in the moment, but it's exactly what carries you through a deeply meaningful life. And a huge part of being earnest is how you handle adversity. Randy introduces us to two of his personal heroes. First, his old landlord, Sandy Blatt, who became a quadriplegic after a tragic accident, yet he never complained. He simply adapted to his new reality with incredible grace. Second, Jackie Robinson, who endured unimaginable racism to integrate Major League Baseball. Robinson knew he just had to play better and work harder than the white players. Both of these men faced massive, unfair brick walls, and both of them chose grit over grievances. And that brings us to this incredibly powerful, straightforward takeaway. Complaining does not work as a strategy. We all have a finite amount of time and energy. If you take even 1/10 of the energy you put into whining and complaining and instead apply it directly to solving your problem, you will be astounded by how well things can work out. So the next time you find yourself whining about a problem, do this. Set a timer for 5 minutes, get it completely out of your system, and then immediately switch into problem-solving mode. When it comes to dealing with the frustrations caused by other people, Randy leaned heavily on some advice he got during his time at Disney Imagineering. The advice was super simple. Wait for the good. If you wait long enough, people will surprise and impress you. Almost everybody has a good side. Sometimes it takes immense patience, maybe even years. But if you just give them enough time and avoid writing them off, their good side will eventually come out. Because you can't achieve massive dreams alone, you absolutely have to master working with others. Randy literally used to hand out a tip sheet on group dynamics to his students. And a second step on that sheet is shockingly simple, yet it's wildly ignored. Actually sit together with your partners. Not across the room, not just via a quick email, but physically next to each other. Put your cards on the table, sit close, and actively look for the best in everyone. Ultimately, Randy forces a clear, binary choice upon us regarding how we face the world. Are you going to be a Tigger or an Eeyore? From Winnie the Pooh. Tiggers are optimistic, energetic, and fun-loving. Eeyores are gloomy, they're constantly complaining, and they drag their feet. Randy Pausch, even with a literal terminal diagnosis, firmly declared that he was a Tigger.
He just couldn't see the upside in ever becoming an Eeyore. All right, let's slow things down for a second as we enter the final act of this explainer, the climax, the ultimate head fake. Because everything we've talked about up to this point, the childhood dreams, the football coach, the time management, it was all building towards this massive emotional climax. It was all building toward the ultimate head fake.
At the very end of his hour-long talk, pacing the stage, clearly exhausted but completely focused, Randy made a stunning revelation to his audience. The entire lecture, despite its title, Really Achieving Your Childhood Dreams, wasn't actually about childhood dreams at all.
He looks out at the crowd and asks, "Did you figure out the head fake?" The lecture wasn't a blueprint for how to achieve your dreams. It was a blueprint for how to lead your life. His profound realization was that if you lead your life the right way, if you're earnest, if you don't complain, if you help others, and if you hit those brick walls with everything you've got, the karma will take care of itself. The dreams will come to you.
But then he clicks to the next slide and delivers a second, even more profound twist that literally left the auditorium in tears. He asks, "Have you figured out the second head fake?" You see, this public lecture, delivered to 400 colleagues and students, and eventually viewed by millions online, it wasn't for the audience in the room. It was a carefully crafted message in a bottle. It was for his 3 young children, Dylan, Logan, and Chloe.
And bringing it all full circle, right back to our opening slide, we cannot change the cards we are dealt, just how we play the hand. Randy Pausch's ultimate legacy wasn't just telling his children how to live, it was showing them. By standing on that stage, full of life, full of humor and immense gratitude while facing imminent death, he showed his kids exactly how he played a seemingly impossible hand.
Which leaves us with one final, incredibly practical question. A question you have the power to answer right now, today. Will you be a Tigger, or will you be an Eeyore? Will you complain about the brick walls, or will you use them to prove exactly how badly you want to live? Don't wait until time is short to start playing your hand. Start right now. Choose earnestness, choose optimism, and let the dreams come to you.